All right. There we go. And yeah, there we go. Okay. So let's dive in. We're going to be talking about the one thing today. We're going to be looking at some of the goal setting tools from the one thing today. But I love to start these classes out with just kind of an overview of what is the one thing, what is it all about, and I think the best way to dive into that is to actually have Gary share with us what he thinks the one thing is about. And you wouldn't know that Gary Keller was a poet, but he wrote this regarding the one thing. If you have the Audible version, then you will have heard this before. If not, it is not in your written copy, so it's kind of extra bonus material. So I'm going to go ahead and play that.
We work longer hours and earn more, but seem to bring home less. We give our all and yearn for more, but seem to settle for less. We drive fast, talk fast, eat fast, and still don't seem to get ahead, then wonder where the day has gone when we crawl into our bed. We stand for less, fall for more, and strain to find our voice. We have more opportunity than ever, yet struggle to make a choice. We communicate more, connect much less, and seem to lose our way. Powered by more, but powerless, we fail to seize the day. We want it all, we want it now, and our wishes literally seem endless. We put more worth in net than self, then wonder why we feel so helpless. We snatch and claw, we grab, we grasp for all that we can cling, instead of slowing down to figure out what matters most and identify the one thing. I wrote this poem during the time when Jay and I were wrapping up the one thing. It's my vision, sort of why so many people struggle to live a big life and how simply bringing focus to our world can drastically change our life's outcome. You see, a life worth living can be measured in many ways, but one way that stands above all else is living a life of no regrets. My good friend and Grammy Award nominee Pam Rose gets it. So much so that she wrote a song about it called My Life, which has become sort of a morning anthem for me. Since the first time I heard it years ago, I've started each day by listening to that song. Waking up with the end in mind helps me concentrate on what's most important today. Life's short. It's too short for coulda, wouldas, and shouldas. It takes purpose and big thinking to be able to look back on our life without regret.
So there's Gary kind of talking about his mindset in the one thing and what's important to him. So today we're looking at the goal setting tools of the one thing. We started this series of classes looking at really taking a deep dive through the one thing book, looking at the 6 lies, the myth understandings about productivity. Everything matters equally, right? Our to-do lists. Multitasking is a lie, right? What really happens is we're rapidly switching between tasks. We're not actually doing 2 things at the same time. The power of habits to help us live what others would call a disciplined life, because living a disciplined life is a lie. The most successful, the highest achievers aren't living a disciplined life. They simply have a higher level of habits, right? Willpower is not always on will call. There is a finite supply of oomph in your tank, right? And so we have to learn what that looks like so that we can prioritize our world and put the things that require more of our energy in the right place, right? A balanced life, right? We so often hear about this lie, this myth of work-life balance. The reality is greatness happens when the pendulum swings wide, right? When we put an extra amount of focus into one area of our life is when greatness happens. And so sometimes what we see is this really big pendulum swing between I'm focused on home life and I'm focused on work life. And while I'm focused on work life, the home life kind of falls apart. And then when I'm focused on home life, the work life kind of falls apart, right? And the key, Gary says, is to work at a counterbalanced life. right? We have to have a tight focus on what's going on in our home life. We can't get too far off base there. That's a glass ball that can easily be broken if we drop that. But great things happen in our professional life when we work kind of in waves of focus. You'll hear some people call these seasons, right? I have seasons of this intense focus inside of my business. And it's that intense focus inside of my business that propels me to the next level, pushes me through to the next piece. And then it's usually followed by a period of retraction where I can pull away from work a little bit, where I can rest, relax, recharge. I can take vacations. I can take more personal time, recharge that energy, right? We address the lie that big is bad. Big in reality helps us hit realistic, right? When we shoot for big goals, the worst thing that happens is we surpass the small goals we were aiming for. So big is not bad. Big sets the right trajectory when we're talking about our goals. We talked about the domino effect then in the next session about being able to go small to make big changes in our world. And identifying what those lead dominoes are and really diving into that focusing question. What's the one thing I can do such that by doing it, everything else becomes easier or unnecessary, right? It's not what are all of the things I can do. No, it's what's the one thing I can do. I can do, right? Not what's the one thing that could be done, but what's the one thing I can do such that by doing it, implies that I have to actually take action, right? I have to actually get this done. Everything else will become easier or unnecessary as it relates to the progression of that one thing, right? As it relates to the progression of that one goal. We talked about the example of, maybe a journey to health and fitness, and your goal is to, maybe have a certain number on the scale. So you're going to the gym 5 days a week, and is going to the gym 5 days a week your one thing, right? Or are there other things that lead up to you going to the gym 5 days a week, right? Is it making sure that you're set, preparing your calendar to go to the gym? Is it signing up for the gym membership? Is it having a place to go, right? Is it making sure that your clothes are laid out the night before so that when you wake up at 6 o'clock to go to the gym in the morning, there's no excuse. There's nothing standing in the way between you and your one thing, right? What's that lead domino? We ended with an exercise that we're going to start on today, which is goal setting to the now. This is the process of essentially setting your goals in reverse. So many times when we look at what are some of the most important things for us to accomplish, we start with, well, today I should do this so that this week I can do this. And then if I do that today and this week, then this month I will have attained this. And at the end of the year, I will be at this point, right? And well, that's great for like an action plan standpoint. It definitely doesn't help us set big goals. When you're goal setting to the now, you're starting with that big someday goal. Someday I would like to achieve XYZ. Right? Someday I would like to have a real estate rental portfolio with more than 14 properties or doors, 14 individual cash flow situations, right? Okay, so that could be my someday goal, 14. Well, where do I want to be in 5 years? Well, in 5 years, I probably want to have 3 of those 14 doors, right? So I'm going from the big to the more narrow, right? My 1 year goal. Well, if in 5 years I want to have 3, in 1 year, maybe I want to have 1, or maybe in 1 year, I need to have some financial pieces set in place so that I can own 3 in 5 years, right? Maybe it's about saving. Maybe it's about setting up my financial house so that it's appropriate. Maybe I have some debt to pay off. Maybe I have some other things that need to happen so that I can get those dominoes rolling. So if my 1 year goal is to, let's just say in this example, is to have $60,000 in the bank so I can go buy rental property with it. If my 1 year goal is that dollar amount, then where do I need to be this month? Right? Well, if in 1 year I want to have $60,000, maybe this month I need $5,000. right? So this month, my goal is $5,000. If I break that down into a weekly goal, well, I need to generate an extra $1,250 this week to have $5,000 this month, to have my $60,000 this year, to be on my way to having 3 rental properties in 5 years to achieve my someday goal of having 14. Okay. So if I need to generate extra income to the tune of $1,250 this week, what do I need to do today? Right? What are the phone calls I need to make? What are the activities I need to have set up? What are the listing appointments I need to go on? Right? How can I set down those dominoes? And then, okay, so if I need to go on 1 extra listing appointment this week to hit that financial mark for the week and the month, what do I need to do right now? What's that right now goal? How do I get that listing appointment? Am I going to be holding an open house this weekend? Do I need to go door knocking? Am I going to be writing golden letters next week with the office? Like, what am I doing to generate that listing appointment? And how do I work backwards to it? So this is just one really big picture goal that we've brought all the way down. But today we're going to look at some of the tools that we can use in our goal setting and planning. Once we've got a vision for what we're building in the big picture. Okay. And so we're just going to run with this plan, right? With the 14 rental properties someday. In 5 years, I need to have 3. This year, I need $60,000 in the bank. And so this month, I need to make an extra $5,000. We're just going to run with that plan as examples for this today. But I want to introduce you to some of the tools to do this. And we're going to talk extensively about how they work and how you can use them in your business and for strategic planning, right? So the first tool that we're going to talk about is your GPS. You may hear this called other things, like a 1-3-5. But what does it mean? G means a goal. So the beginning of my G, or my GPS, is my goal, my one goal. Then I'll set some priorities to achieve that goal. Maybe it's 3 priorities. That's where the 1-3-5 comes from, right? Maybe it's 3 priorities. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's 4. Maybe it's 2. You get to decide that. We're going to talk about that together. And then my strategies. What are the strategies for achieving each priority? Could be 5 strategies to achieving each priority. Could be 2, could be 3, could be 8, right? It really depends, but that's how it's sometimes known as the 1-3-5. You'll also hear it referred to, especially in the one thing, as the 1-page business plan, because your GPS will fit on 1 page. You don't want this instrument to become so extensive that it's taking up multiple pages, or heaven forbid, like a binder, right? You want this to be really succinct. It's a 1-page business plan. And we're gonna take a look at some too. The accompanying tool is called the 411. This is one of my favorite strategic planning tools. The 411. It's also an accountability tool, because I know what I need to do this week, this month, and this year, and it's written down in a format where myself, my coach, and others can hold me accountable to it. But that's what the 411 stands for. 4 weeks, 1 month, 1 year, right? So it's interesting that it puts the GPS first in this example. Oftentimes, if you guys are familiar with these 2 tools, we might think that that's the way it goes, right? And we're gonna walk through an example of a GPS and a 411. In fact, let me pull some up here. So your GPS, I like to think of your GPS as a planning tool where you can take one of your goals any one of your goals, right? In the one thing, we actually take a look at, let me pull this back up, 7 circles of our life, 7 different areas where we may have a goal to achieve, right? These are the 7 circles of our world. We might have a spiritual goal. Maybe our goal is around our physical health. Maybe it's around our personal life or our relationships. Maybe your goal is financial in nature. Maybe it's about your job or your business, right? So you may have a goal there. And for some of us, we have multiple businesses that we're running, right? So could I have a goal in one business and a goal in another, and maybe an overall business goal? Absolutely, right? So I might be able to use that GPS tool to create a business plan, or more accurately, a plan to achieve that goal in any area of my life. And let me see if I can pull up some examples for you to look up here. It's giving me a hard time loading. We'll get one. We'll get one. And then that 411, you're only going to ever have one 411. You're not going to make a 411 for all of your different goals. You're not going to have many of them. They're all going to funnel into that same 411. That's for you to be able to navigate. So let me.
Sometimes though, like what I seem to have like struggle is because like you have everything going on in life, and then it's like you're trying to focus, like for example, like with your job, which is right now, trying to focus in real estate. So it's just like I know it kind of funnels in, but it's just like, other things then happen in life. Like no matter even if you try to schedule it, or just try to just work on that, like on what you're actually trying to work on, then life happens and it's just like bam. Like now you have some other things that the universe is throwing at you, and it's like you need to take care of that as well, because it's something that's needed. It's not like something that you can just say, oh no, I'll leave it until next week, because now it's like something, does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yep. And I would question that just a little bit, right? Where is your focus and your priority in that? The next piece of what we're going to talk about is how to be able to protect that time, to be able to build the bunker, and to almost create a filter around those pieces. So oftentimes it absolutely can seem like life is happening to us instead of for us, and it's derailing us. And more often than not, when we go back and we actually look at what happened, either it didn't need to derail us and we gave it the opportunity to, right? Because we made the choice to address that or give energy where it didn't have to. I've been in real estate a little while, and something that I've learned is just about every fire puts itself out. There are very few things that I have to today, right now, drop everything I'm doing and pick up the phone for. Very, very few. And I think over time, when you get more comfortable kind of navigating inside of that world, it can be helpful too. But Dahlia, I'll tell you, one of the keys to that is being crystal clear on what you're focused on. And just seriously, you have to build a bunker and not let anything derail that. It can be one of the hardest things to do. Let's do this. I'm gonna share another screen here. Maybe I'm gonna share another screen. I just hit a button and it went away. So let's see if we can pull it back up. This is, where do I share? Here it is. This is my 411. So you guys can kind of see what that looks like. So you'll see, it starts as a blank template, obviously. But so here's the way it works. I've identified my annual goals, and I used goal setting to the now and my GPS to identify what those annual goals are. And then I can break them down into a monthly and a weekly to-do list. And then I've got some other things that fall on my to-do list that may not be monthly or weekly. Right? So we can go all the way down to this week. in my 411, right? So I have my professional goals, my personal goals, and some of my financial goals, right? And you can see where I've already hit, right? I'm on track to hit just about everything on my 411 so far. Broke it down into what monthly goals we have to hit, right? Business, personal, financial, and then where we are, what we need to hit this week, right? Where everything goes. So we've taken several of those circles and they've made their way onto this page. So the next thing that I do is I take and make sure that I've got everything set on my calendar to achieve these weekly goals. And so don't be scared. It's not as scary as it looks, but here's my calendar. Most people, get a glimpse of it and they're like, it's really not that bad. So we're going to go forward though. Let me go forward a couple of weeks when I have fewer appointments here. And you can see my one thing, the most important thing I need to do is on my calendar every day. I have my lead generation time scheduled and ready to go. I have time to work on my 411, my business planning every single week. The very first thing that's gone into my calendar, and you'll see it if we go a few weeks out, you'll see my family on here, my kiddo. Like I'm just like you guys, like I'm responsible for life outside of business every now and again, right? So I have those priorities in. All of my vacation time goes in to my calendar. So you can see, coming up. The only things that are scheduled during my vacation time are things that involve others and not just me. So they're kind of a placeholder on my calendar, but I'm not actually involved in these. And then anything that's on my 411 will receive its own appointment on my calendar. And so that appointment is a time for me to work on it. So I have pieces in my 411 business pieces that are strategic in nature, but change on an ongoing basis.
How often do you go check your 411?
Every day.
Every day?
Every day. Let me show you. I've got a paper copy of it in my bag here. Let me stop sharing so you can see this. I have a paper copy of it in my bag. All my notes, I'm on Blur, so you can barely see it. But and then I just staple the new one on top of the old one. And I look at this every day. This is my planner, basically, to make sure I'm on track and I'm doing the most important things with my day.
Is there any way we could have a copy of that, or like even an email spreadsheet, just to be carrying it? Because like I feel like well, like with me, I feel like I need to, even though I have my schedule, I have all the stuff, like I feel like I have to like really stick to it, and maybe this is another strategy that could also help.
Well, let's dive into that. The strategy to make it stick.
Right.
Because writing it down is just half of the battle.
Right. Yeah, because I've used a personal planner too. Like, and what happened was that I was overbooking myself, like triple booking myself with the planner, like the one that you write with, and then having one on my phone. So it would be either I didn't have it with me, even though I carry my purse, but there's those quick seconds that you have to just make it, okay, let me see if I remember. But having something like that, I think would help implement it even more.
Doing this, having the paper copy of this works really well when you use a digital calendar, because every week during my 411 planning time, I make sure I block out the time for the following week for all of my weekly activities on my digital calendar, which then obviously syncs to my phone. So I have everything I need everywhere I go.
Now, do you check your 411 planner early in the morning, or like maybe like around 10, or like?
No, my day starts usually with taking care of the kiddos and all of those things. I get into the office about 9:45 and we have a meeting right away. And then I dive into to my 411 and I look at my appointments for the day, usually between 9 and 9:30.
Okay.
Obviously, that's very particular. It could look however you want it to. In the Millionaire Real Estate Agent, Gary Keller actually lays out what he calls his energy plan. And planning and calendaring is part of that energy plan. In his world, his energy plan starts at 6 a.m. and wraps up by 11. And it starts with spirituality, right? Being able to plug in, take some downtime, get connected in the morning, right? Family, health, right? Movement, healthy breakfast, all of those pieces. And then for business energy, what he does is he calendars and plans. And then when he gets to the office, he takes care of his one thing for no less than 2 hours every morning. And so the idea is that by 11 a.m., you've used your best energy on the most important things in your world. Yeah. So how does that happen? It happens by time blocking. Typically, what we'll do is we will allow our day to run our calendar, right? Because we plan things as they come up. Instead of using these tools to go into our calendar and put the most important things first and allow everything else to fill in around it. Right? That's probably the most powerful thing you can do inside of your calendar. You'll start with your personal time, right? Go through for the entire year if you can. Block out time off, long weekends, what you need to do to take care of your family, right? If you're picking up kids, if you're whatever you've got to do, that time goes in. And then the second thing you're going to plan is your most important professional time, right? In our business, 9 times out of 10, that's lead generation. That's where does our business come from? We're either lead generating for buyers and for sellers, or we're lead generating for opportunities, or we're lead generating for people, depending on where we're at in our business, but it's almost always lead generation. So when you put that lead gen time in your calendar first, you can give it the chunk of time it deserves, and then you just schedule everything else around it, right? Remember, you're making an appointment with yourself when you're time blocking, when you're putting these calendars in. And I'm going to go ahead and share, if I can get back to it, I'll share my calendar again really quick. So, I mean, we can go all the way out, because the time blocks, the important things in my world don't necessarily change on an ongoing basis, and yours probably don't either. So I can look out in like February and book an appointment, right? Because I know now, I probably wouldn't, because I haven't booked my vacation time or anything like that for next year yet. But I could look and say, okay, on Tuesday the 15th at 1 p.m., I'm probably free. And then when somebody asks me, well, how about at 10 a.m.? I'm sorry, I have an appointment at that time. I could do Fridays at 11 a.m. right? I don't have an appointment at that time. And then everything else in your calendar kind of goes around it. The real key here is identifying that those times, those activities, those tasks essentially that you've blocked in your calendar are really appointments. They're just appointments with yourself, appointments with your business, but they're appointments nonetheless. So let's head back to the slide here. Okay, so like I was saying, time block your time off first, then time block your one thing. Then take a look back and time block your planning time. So for me, I have 2 planning blocks, really 3, I think you could say. Let me go back into it here, really 3. So I have my 411 time. So that's when I work on my actual 411 for the week ahead and the week behind. I have my business review time. This is a time where I look through reports, I analyze trends, I'm doing things that would normally fall on a back burner because they're important, yet they're not urgent. So I've scheduled time for that. This might be reviewing your P&L. This might be working on your budget. This might be working on analyzing MLS trends. Like that, a lot of different things could fall into that business review block. And then I have my strategic planning time. This is when I am actually really focused on the growth of our business, right? So this is where I'm not looking at like, how do I lead generate for new buyers and sellers? This is where I'm looking at, where is my business going long-term, big scale, right? And how am I getting there? What needs to happen? Sometimes my strategic planning time turns into something that's more personal development, right? As part of your strategic plan, maybe one day you want to have a real estate team or, become a real estate coach. So in that strategic planning time block, I might be taking a step towards that, right? I might be attending a class or a webinar or connecting with somebody who's already there, or I might be planning for the future. I might be journaling through what that is. I might be casting the vision for it. I might be working on something more tactical that gets me, forward, right? I might be working with a website developer or somebody like that to create a bigger business. So those are the 3 planning time blocks that I have. I'll tell you, I'm very strategic about when they happen. They happen for me at the end of the week. The biggest reason for that is while you guys are working mainly with buyers and sellers, I'm working mainly with real estate agents, coaching, consulting, recruiting, right? I'm face-to-face with real estate agents most of the week. And Friday is usually not a very good day for real estate agents to get face-to-face because you're showing homes, you're doing closings, or you're taking the day off because you've just spent the last 11 days showing homes and going to closings, right? So for me, Friday is a great day to get internal and to not necessarily have to be at the whim of somebody else's calendar. So that's why my strategic planning time happens then. It's also a day I have to be flexible. You can see I'm with my kiddo. I pick her up at 1 o'clock on Friday afternoons. And, we do all of those kind of things together when we can. So I have to be more flexible. So if I'm face-to-face with somebody, that doesn't allow me flexibility. So I'm really strategic in the way I've planned this. It's happened on purpose, right? You'll see my business energy at its best on Mondays. It's at its absolute highest. And so I pour into my entire team on Mondays. I have a one-on-one with every staff member or everyone who's in my inner circle. We connect every single Monday so that we can start off on the right page and have that great business energy. So take a look at your own energy and block your time accordingly, right? All right. So here's what it might look like on a monthly basis, right? You've blocked your time off. You've blocked your planning time and your vacation time. And now you can fill your calendar with other appointments, right?
So are you saying that doing the one thing is the first thing on your list every day?
If you look at my calendar here, did it just switch back to my calendar?
No, it's still on time block.
Okay, let me try again. There we go. Hopefully it did. There we go. So what you'll see is early in my day, I have my one thing, that lead generation time. Early in my day. I'll tell you why. It's hard. It's tough. Sometimes it's uncomfortable. It takes a lot of energy to make these pieces happen, right? And I'm not sure what you guys do for lead generation, if you're calling through your sphere, if you're calling for sale by owners or expireds or any of those things. I'm calling on real estate agents, right? Oftentimes that's my lead generation, right, Nyla? That's one of the things that fills my plate. Now, it's not always the thing that I'm doing in my lead generation time, but it's one of those things. And so I find that I'm most effective when I do it first thing in the day. And I also love being with people, sitting down one-on-one, coaching, consulting, diving into your business. Those are some of my favorite things to do. When we get to strategize and build out your business plan, when we get to come together and look at talent acquisition and some of those bigger pieces, I get a ton of energy from that. So I'm really good at like 4 o'clock on a Tuesday afternoon, sitting down and taking a deep dive into somebody's business. But if at 4 o'clock on a Tuesday afternoon, you ask me to cold call someone, fat chance, I'm all out of juice for that stuff, right? I'm done. I've done all of my hard things for the day, right? I need energy building stuff after lunch because I'm all out of hard things. So that's what I would say. What is it in your world that needs that kind of energy? Now, it might be different for you. For a lot of us, it's that lead generation. It's either boring or uncomfortable and we don't want to do it. So we get through it to get to all of the good stuff. So put it there early, get through it. Have you guys ever heard about eating the frog? I don't think the analogy is in the one thing, but I'll share it with you. And this is why I think lead generating early in the morning is so important. Imagine if today you were tasked with eating a frog, a real live slimy frog.
Wait, what? You said
Yep.
what?
Imagine that. Imagine that tomorrow, let's say tomorrow, you wake up and you have to eat that frog. That's your job for the day. Okay.
So we have to eat a frog? Like, is it going to be cooked?
I don't know. Probably not. Think about it raw and slimy. Here's the deal. If you eat
because I've tried frog legs. I mean, they weren't the best, but I still ate them.
Right? No, so imagine this. Imagine this. You've got this slimy frog. It's in a jar. It's alive. And you're going to have to eat this sucker. That's how you're going to feed your family tomorrow.
Oh, I mean,
Okay.
I have to do what I have to do.
So imagine the strategy inside of that. You wake up in the morning. What don't you want to do? Eat that stupid frog, right?
It depends.
But you know you have to. That's what you have to do to like feed your kids, to keep a roof over their head. It's awful, and you know you have to do it, and you're committed to doing it. You're going to do it. You're going to eat that frog. You're just not going to do it now. You know what? If I wait a little bit, maybe I'll feel like it. Let me wait until I feel motivated to eat that frog.
when we're starving already.
Okay, so you know what? Have a nice breakfast.
No. I'm just saying,
eat whatever breakfast you want, but you're just gonna, you know what? You're gonna wait until the moment strikes you to eat that frog, and you're gonna carry it around with you all day. You're gonna go to your appointments. You're gonna be everywhere, and you're gonna have a jar with a bouncing, jumping, live, slimy frog in it. And you know to feed your family, you have to eat that frog, but you're just not ready yet. You're gonna do it.
Right.
You just don't have the motivation to do it yet.
No.
When do you think you're ever gonna have the motivation to eat that frog?
Again, but you know, it's like kind of like you're putting it, and I understand like where you're going with this. It's just, again, it's like, you know, how you said it. You know, it's like, you have to eat this frog. You know, you have to be, you know, you're going to be up and down, left and right. And that's kind of how I am right now, to be honest. Like, even though I'm at the office, it's just like, still some things pop up, get them kids, all things, you know, and I'm still carrying that frog. I'm like, gosh.
Absolutely. And so what happens at the end of the day? You're carrying around that damn frog. You know you're not going to eat it today. You know you're not going to. You are tired. The moment didn't strike you. Now you got to eat that frog tomorrow. And it's stinky in there now, right? It's been jumping around that jar all day. It's 10 times as bad to eat that frog now as it was this morning, right? So imagine that. That's your one thing. And so often what we do is we put off doing the most important thing in our business until the moment strikes us, until we feel like it, until we feel motivated, instead of waking up. I tell you what, if you would have woke up just said, oh man, that's gonna be awful, picked up and ate that frog, you'd be done.
Mhm.
Ugh.
You'd be done thinking about it. You wouldn't have to carry that stinking frog around with you anywhere. And you could go to bed that night feeling satisfied that you fed your family and did anything it took to fulfill your goals, right? And you didn't have to spend the whole day worried about that stinking frog.
Mhm.
That's all I'm saying. That's why lead generation goes on first.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Because Dahlia, if you wake up in the morning and you eat that frog, who cares what happens the rest of the day? It can blow up and take you everywhere. But if you protect those 2 hours to eat your frog, to do your lead gen, to do your business, and you let life happen after 11 a.m., at least you got what you needed to get done, right?
And then so okay, when it goes to lead gen, it can be like anything, and if it as far as it can be ads, it can be what, doing like videos, or like what precisely is it? Because I'm kind of like, I've been here at the office. I
Yeah,
come here and like I try to be here like by 9:30, 9:45, because that's after I drop off my kids.
yeah.
But the thing is, and I'm like really every single day, my goal is to be here by 9. Like I'm trying to make it where I'm actually doing this and making it a habit of coming in here so I can get things done, right?
So maybe your
Um,
lead gen is the first thing at 9. If you get there at 9, 9:30, then you block those 2 hours every day for your lead gen. That could be cold calling, that could be making a video, that could be getting your marketplace, ad together. That can be anything that's going to generate leads.
well,
Mhm.
see, and that's where I'm kind of confused at. Like sometimes I'm just like, okay, I'm trying to work on a template, I'm trying to work on this, but it's like I start kind of like thinking of so many ways that I can't just focus on one way to actually just lead gen.
Yeah.
Even though my homework with my coach is to do this, it's just like other thing is okay. So this seller wants me to go now, later. So it's like now I have to like get things ready. Does that make sense?
So our most important jobs are to meet people and have real estate conversations, right? And so our lead generation should allow us to meet people and have real estate conversations. Those lead gen time blocks should really be full with trying to have real estate conversations. So you're working on the meeting people piece to fill the funnel to have real estate conversations, right? So I might have an open house on Saturday, and now I have people to have real estate conversations with on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, right? I'm sending out Facebook ads, maybe I do that over lunch every day so that I get to have real estate conversations. And I chunk all of those together inside of my lead gen and my lead follow-up time. Right. So that's the way that I look at those couple of activities. Is this something that allows me to meet people and have a real estate conversation? Sometimes it's marketing and not lead generation, right? Sometimes it's just kind of brand awareness pieces. And those would be appointments we could time block somewhere else. But here's the deal. Don't think of this too strictly, right? Think about this through the lens of, I've got a couple of protected hours a day to do the most important things in my business, and work with your coach to figure out what those most important things are. And here's what I would say. Put your blinders on. When other things come up that you're like, oh, I could do this. Oh, call it shiny object syndrome, right? The grass is always greener. We're always looking to see what else we could be doing. And oftentimes we don't give what we are doing enough time to generate the results that it should, because we're just not on task, on time long enough. So here's a few keys, right? Build a bunker. Build a bunker, protect your space. Right. And I know, Dahlia, you're working from, drop-in space, right? You're in the cubes, you're in kind of a more open space, but is there a bunker you can build like with your technology? Do you turn the ringer on your phone off? Have you silenced your notifications? Do you keep your browser window open or closed, right? Are you constantly at the whim of your email? If you're anything like me, I have this ridiculous reflex of checking my email. Like every time I look at my computer. I instantly go to email to just see what's new, right? So I have to really build my bunker around that. I have to protect myself from myself, you know, and do things like work in incognito windows. So I'm not going to my email. It seems kind of silly and childish, but I tell you, I'm super easily distracted.
I feel like
Um,
I'm the same way too, though. Like you're right. Like even
Yeah.
though we're supposed to be like just doing this, I feel like if you get a notification or something, you know, it's just like you
Mhm.
have to literally like time block it, even if it's like my kid or anyone, just like
Yeah.
time block, you know.
Yeah, and you know, if you're good enough with your phone, you can set exceptions to your do not disturb, right? Like the school nurse could be an exception. Like if
Right,
if the school calls, it's gonna ring, but no one else it rings for, right?
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Store provisions. Okay, so 6 months or so ago, oh, longer than that, because it was like during the shutdown. So during COVID, we changed around the copy machines at the office because we weren't using as much paper. We had 2 machines, we went down to 1. I had a great little printer in my office. I gave it to somebody else on the staff because I'm like, oh, I don't print very much. I'll just go walk to the printer. So yesterday, Thursday, yesterday was Thursday. So Wednesday, I guess Wednesday, I missed a meeting because I went to the printer and got caught having conversation with somebody. I can't even remember who, that I shouldn't have been having because I was so distracted because I didn't have my provisions. I didn't have everything I needed on hand. So yesterday I went and bought a new printer for my office so that I don't have to leave to print things anymore. So I don't get stuck. It seems crazy. I have a snack drawer. If you're like me and you carry a big old bag, it's got snacks and water and all of that in it because I know when I leave my desk to go get a glass of water, I'm toast. I'm gonna start talking to somebody. I'm gonna lose my train of thought. So I make sure I have everything right there. I don't have to leave and I don't have to go anywhere.
No, that is so true though, because you know how you were holding that class yesterday? I like literally, I was like, you know, like speculating on time. I'm like, okay, I'm here 10 minutes before. And, you know, I even got the ringer on my phone, the notification, hey, like we're about to jump on. And I'm like, okay, I got 10 minutes. My computer started acting dumb. And it was just like, right when I was going to join in. So like right at 1, when the class session, I mean, you know, you were doing the meeting, I actually tried to get in then, and it was like, since I was just like trying to like see what was going on with my computer, like I don't know why it was technology that at the time. But by the time I actually figured it out, it was already like maybe like about 5 minutes later. And it was like it said I was already too packed. It had over 100 people. And I was like, are you serious? So I went from 10 minutes before that I could have been in the meeting. And then I just missed it because my computer started acting up. But it was like just little things like that, like you're saying, you know, just being distracted, like just
That's
walking
the
to
next
get
step.
water. Yeah.
Sleep for minds. What could go wrong? Dahlia, I'll tell you this. I spend a fair amount of time on the phone. I also use my hands a lot. I talk with my hands. I always have
Same.
something going on in my hands. And so before I know I'm going to be at my desk for a long period of time, I have a standing desk. I prefer to stand, then I can walk around and kind of move and things like that. I know myself well enough that I know I'm going to stop what I'm doing and leave my workstation to find a hair instrument, a hair tie or a clip or something, because I play with my hair constantly when I am lead generating and on the phone. Weird, right? But I know it. I know that about myself. So I always have one and it sits on my desk so that I can, if you catch me on a really good day where I'm really in the zone, every time you walk by my office, I'll have a different hairstyle because I'm just clipping it and pulling it, whatever. I've swept for minds. I know what's going to happen. I know what's going to distract me and pull me off track. And as childish as it seems to have to get in front of those, that's exactly what we have to do. If we're dead serious about getting that goal, we've got to do whatever it takes to make sure we've got the focus to do it. And then we've enlisted support. There's a reason why Amy's office is before mine. It's so that she can catch anybody who's walking up to my office and say, hey, what can I help you with? Right? Hey, Anna's in a meeting or she's really busy right now. What can I do for you? right? So we've enlisted support. And you can always do that when you're coming to the office as well, especially if you know you are going to need it. There have been some times I have done some crazy things because I need to get my job done. And I'm just like you. I am a human being and I can get distracted over the funnest things that are super important for my business, but not anywhere near as important as my one thing. I have given my keys to the gal at the front desk. Do not give these back to me until my job is done. Right? I literally had to call them at like 6:30 at night at some point and said, okay, where did you hide my keys? I'm finally done. I got to go home. Right? You know, what can we do? If your cell phone's too big of a distraction, give it to somebody up front, let them watch it. Just literally get it out of your sight, right? Enlist support. And then make a plan and get a buddy, right? Individuals with these written goals, 40% more likely to succeed. But when they also have accountability, it almost doubles, right? So when you know your vision, you've set your goals, you have your one thing, meet with your coach, right? Sit down with me, sit down with Britt, meet and discuss what that is. And then get on a weekly cadence of accountability if you can, right? What happened this week? What are you going to do? What actually happened? How do you feel about it? And as a result of that, what's going to happen next week? It's a simple conversation. And you, after 3 or 4 weeks of it, you're going to know exactly how it's going to go each time, right? But, you know, sometimes we need somebody outside of ourselves to actually do the things that we say we're going to do. It's just a weird psychological thing that we have. Bringing other people in can help hold us far more accountable. So let me go to this, the resources. The tools we were talking about, I'll shoot out an email so that you have a copy of the tools, but you can get them and a lot more at theonething.com. All of those tools are free. They're in the free stuff section. You can also become a member of The One Thing. I think it's like $15 a month or something like that. You get some exclusive kind of coaching and podcasts, and you get a few other tools that aren't free on the website. Particularly, they do a goal setting retreat every year that is just phenomenal. You can go in person. Tickets are steep. It's like $2,500 to go in person. But I think with your membership, it happens for free. The One Thing podcast, that is a valuable tool. Jeff Woods, who is the leader of the One Thing inside of the Keller Inc. World, Jeff does an incredible job breaking down some of some of the lessons in the One Thing and making them really easy to digest, and also brings in some phenomenal guests. So if productivity is something you're focused on right now, right? And it's a great place to be focused, right? How do I become more productive? How do I do more in less time? How do I get the kind of focus that allows me to achieve at the level I want? It's a great resource to dive into. Obviously you can get the paperback, or not the paperback, the paper book. It's a hardcover book. We've got some in the office. You can order it on Keller Inc. However you choose to do it.
How much
But
is
you can,
how much is the book?
they're like $15.
Okay.
Yeah, I think if you grab one from the office, it's $15. We'll put it on your office bill. But there's an Audible version as well. I have both. I'm a weirdo. I have all the books in paper and in Audible because I kind of don't listen to music anymore. I'm just always listening to books or podcasts. And on kwconnect.com, you'll have access to a lot of the One Thing materials as well, some exclusive interviews with Jay Papasan and Jeff Woods, who, you know, Jay Papasan's one of the authors of the One Thing, and the VP of training with KW, and all of those pieces. So great resources here. And then, you know, as we kind of turn the page to next year, you'll be working on your GPS and your 401s with your coach, whether it's me or Britt or a MAPS coach or whoever it is. These are the very same tools that we use once you kind of get established, and you're ready for the goal setting part of that coaching relationship. So you'll get a
So,
lot more experience with them.
Anna, could you repeat a little bit more or just elaborate more of like what it was show, or you know, like what you like, you know, like a little bit more of details in regards to this book, like what it would
The
help
book?
for. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So the one thing is all about being able to focus on one thing. It is, I would call this a productivity book. The tips and tools in this book will allow you to be more productive, to spend your time more wisely, and will help you narrow down all of the things you could be doing in your world and in business, and especially in like you said, like the lead generation, all of the stuff you want to be doing, to one thing. And it really is centered around asking that focusing question, right? What's the one thing I can do such that by doing it will make everything else easier or unnecessary? And so there are so many strategies and tips to living a more productive life inside of it. So it's a good read.
Okay. Yeah. Like I want to get it, and I'm here at the
Absolutely.
office. So
Absolutely. Pick
I
one
don't,
up. Hmm?
I don't really think anybody's here at the office though, at the front desk.
Katie might have been. And I know that Amy's out today. If you want to grab one today, just go ahead and take one out of the conference room. There's
Okay.
one in each of the conference rooms.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then just yeah, you guys can add it to my bill. Like, because
Perfect.
like this is amazing, like, you know, because that's something that, like, you know, that's why I wanted to jump on this meeting and all this, just because it is something, you know, that I'm working on. But again, like everything that you're describing is something that I really want to just enforce it more. So
Mhm. It's human nature.
yeah.
We are, you know, we evolutionarily, we grew up to be highly distractible, right? It's what's allowed us to survive in our caves when, you know, grizzly bears are coming at us, right? It's being aware of your environment, right? And yet there are some ways to focus around that. And that's really the biggest difference. If you look at people who are achieving at an unbelievably high level, right? They don't have any more hours in a day than we do, right? If you would have met them at the beginning of their career or in high school or whatever, you probably wouldn't have pegged them as any different than you or I, right? Here's the key difference. They're able to focus their time and energy on the most important things. And so it's something that Gary goes into in the book. So I hope you like it. It's one of my favorites. I'd love to chat with you guys. I think we've got one more of these sessions on the calendar. And then we'll probably do this again, either towards the end of the year or beginning of next year. So, so keep an eye out for that. And until then, we'll see you guys soon.
All
Yay.
right.
Thank you so
Hannah.
much.
My pleasure. We'll see you soon. Have a great weekend.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.